thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on a fantastic series. Well, I shouldn't play favorites, but I think it's my favorite of the year.
Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
I said my favorite of the year. But we can edit that out later, right? Just making sure. No. This is an audience of your fellow SAG-AFTRA actors. Yeah. So I actually like to always start by asking actors, how did you get your SAG card? What was the job that brought that to you? And yeah.
Good old U.S. postage service. Straight through the letterbox. I think I had to get it for Tigerland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, what was it, 2000?
Were you Taft-Hartley? Because that was your first American movie, or?
I had Irish Equity, which is our version of SAG.
Mm-hmm.
Does the same thing, has similar benefits and a similar foundation. It's not quite as impressive and doesn't have the view that this place has. But I came to America with Irish Actors Equity, and then it was it made it a little bit easier because I had a history of a little bit of work before Joel took a punt on me.
Okay,
and that was how. Yeah, I didn't realise the significance of it at the time.
Really?
Yeah, I since have.
But then you
I didn't realise the significance of a lot when I was 22. to be honest with you, yeah. But I since have realised what a kind of good fortune it is to have, and what a strong community of artists protected by it and are inspired by having a SAG card.
I mean, you have a SAG award now. I'm glad you have a SAG card.
Oh yeah, that's lovely. Yeah.
For this performance, in fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very grateful. That was cool. Yeah, it's a lovely.
So thank you.
Thank you. Jesus, yeah. Oh, yeah. Slow on the uptake. Yeah, thanks a million, guys.
Cristin, for you?
I think it was either The Sopranos or it was a Gardasil commercial that I got cut out of.
It didn't matter. The document was signed.
The
contract was done.
But I was like, it was done because I lied about being able to do yoga.
Of course.
And they were like, in this scenario, you'll be teaching a yoga class. And I was like, And then they filmed it, and I didn't know how to do that. So I was cut.
Googling that.
It was before Google. I had no smartphone. So I was just like, we stretch like this, and then we stretch like that. And they cut me out.
Be breathing.
Yeah, just breathing and sitting still and kind of wearing fancy leggings.
So funny because I always hear about actors lying about special skills, but it's like horseback riding.
I've lied about everything. Yeah.
I've never heard anyone lie about yoga.
Well, because I just was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. And I also had, like, I'd given them a couple options. They were like, what do you like to do? And I was like, hanging out, dog hanging out. And they were like, what about yoga? And I was like, love yoga. Like it was like in the callback or something.
Have my yoga card.
Yeah, exactly. I have my yoga card.
Right beside my SAG card.
Love yoga. Yeah. So I think those were like around the same time. Yeah.
Deidre, for
I was
you?
doing a job with someone recently that totally lied about a sport that they were shit at.
Really?
Yeah. And I was told when the person was cast, and it was within the last 5 years, shall we say, because I don't want to out anyone, that this person was a whiz at this.
Yeah.
And it was one scene. And this sport featured heavily in this one scene. I was told, this person's a whiz.
Everyone Google right now.
They came. No, you won't get it. It was 5 years, about 3.5 years ago. And whoops. And that's just to get you off the scent. But they came, and it was atrocious. Like atrocious. I felt so fucking bad. And the director was like, what the fuck? And I went, we all did it, horse riding, yoga.
Yeah. I lied about swimming in something once too because I didn't know there was a swimming sequence. They were like, you can swim, and I was like, of course I can swim. Yeah. And it was like very complicated camera work, and the director was like, so you're swimming right at the lens. And I was like, interesting. And she was like, and you just want to go by it. And I was like, got it. And every take I would like hit it, I would drown, and like what was I gonna do? Say I couldn't swim? Come on. Yeah, no way.
Deidre, I'm sure you have never lied on your resume.
No, I don't lie. It's wrong. It's a sin to lie. No, I think I got my SAG card doing Tin Men.
Oh.
Now, that was a long, long time ago in a faraway land with an actor named Danny DeVito. Have you ever heard of Danny DeVito? He's famous for certain roles. I didn't lie. But I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time I'd ever been on camera, and I remember there was a scene that was, I think maybe it was my birthday or it was Barbara Hershey's birthday, and I was her sidekick best friend. And I have a friend who used to call it the psychic best friend. You could say either sidekick or psychic best friend, and it almost always works. Anyway, I was the psychic best friend. And so we were having a birthday party for her at the office, and I thought it would be a great idea if I was like eating a huge piece of cake. And I didn't realize that, of course, I was going to have to eat a huge piece of cake 487 times. And now you don't catch me eating huge pieces of cake very often in these, But I didn't lie though.
Yeah.
I said, sure, I can eat that cake, and then I did.
Because I assume by this point, I think we all know that we're talking to a Tony Award winner here, but I assume you, at that point, had quite a bit of stage experience, and you've just never been in front of a camera?
Yeah. I had been on stage a lot, and I had never really been confronted with the problem of like, you have to eat that cake like 100,000 times, or just the whole thing. I remember, the PA telling me you got to just go in this little tiny honey wagon, which was basically a little toilet, and sit in there and wait for somebody to come and get you. And 12 hours later, I didn't know that I could open the door. I thought I was just supposed to sit in there,
That's cute.
I know, isn't that cute?
Is that sweet?
And they were like, "Are you still in there?" And I could still be in there. I mean, I was just like, "So you just sit here and you wait, and then when they bring cake, then you just eat as much of it as you can." I mean, it just
Sliding a
seemed
piece of cake beneath the door of the honey wagon.
God, it was just. It seemed like a horrible job. I was like, get me back to 8 shows a week, please.
See, you're kind of describing my dream scenario. I just sit in a room and people give me cake. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Not that many times, though. Anything, any good thing can turn.
Lauren, what about for you? What was your first job in this industry?
Guys, you don't care. I'm
Yes, they
WJ.
do.
Yeah, when did you get your SAG card, Lauren?
I'm slumming it at the WJ. This facility is so nice. I was like, WJ doesn't look like this. My first writing job was on a show called My Own Worst Enemy, starring Christian Slater and so many other amazing actors like Alfre Woodard and James Cromwell. And it got canceled after 4 episodes aired. But we were writing the 9th, and they canceled us in the middle of us shooting the 9th episode, which is a terrible thing to do. No one was really thinking. So we finished it out strong, but everyone was pretty sad. It was like a miserable, 5 more days.
You actually finished it.
We did. We finished it.
Okay.
I was on a show that got canceled halfway through one of the later episodes, and they were like, "All right, guys, back to work," and we had to finish knowing it was never going to air.
Yeah.
Which
We kind of got cancelled a little bit halfway through, but we knew we were coming back with the strikes.
But I was scared. I
didn't know.
scared.
I didn't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of thought we probably should
Yeah.
be coming back. But I remember again Joey from Props saying to me, "What do you think? You think like September, October?" And I was like, "I don't fucking think so, man."
Wow.
I said, I hope, like, maybe if I was a betting man, I'd say November or something. But it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was really.
Oh, meanwhile, I was in complete denial. I was like, I think it's going to be maybe like a 3-week break, and then
A
we're
long
gonna
weekend.
just really quickly iron out the AI stuff, and we'll be back.
Wow. Well, you made it to 10 episodes. They're fantastic.
We made it to 8, but emotionally 10, I think, for all the trauma and the waiting.
For sure.
I did want to ask though, because when I say that, like, it almost surprises me that I love this show so much, because I had no previous attachment to sort of this universe or this character who I think is sort of generally been played on screen.
Danny DeVito.
Cartoonish.
Character. Famously.
Burgess Meredith.
Can you talk about, sort of what you wanted to bring this story, the themes you wanted to explore, and why you wanted to bring it to the screen?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, Matt Reeves created the Batman and this really intriguing version of Gotham City, and Colin was the Penguin in the Batman. And so, but didn't actually have quite a lot of scenes. And so I got to read the script first and read the Penguin on the page, and then saw what Colin was doing with the Penguin, saw his prosthetics, and just his entire incredible performance really early on when Matt was still editing the film. And so it really was very inspiring. I loved that he was just a man. And yet I feel like mobsters, gangsters, they're very larger than life in a lot of ways. So I felt like there was a lot of fun to be had, but also deep darkness is what I wanted to bring to it, I suppose. I just am more interested in the psychology of characters. And so the idea and the opportunity to be able to do a character study on every single character on our show and just really dig deeper into them emotionally, it felt like no matter the genre, that's always the priority. And so it just was, we got to play a little bit more in an operatic territory, like a slightly elevated territory in moments, but priority always was that this feels very human and it feels very natural and it feels like people you might know, even if they're a little over the top in moments or they're able to do things that are quite violent at times and things you might not actually do in your life, but there's a humanity there that people can connect with.
Yeah. And Colin, when you first signed on for the film, I don't know if there were plans for a series. I don't even know, honestly, if they let you see a full script. Was sort of jumping into that a bit of faith?
I did. Did you see the full script for the Batman film? Yeah, I mean, Matt is justifiably precious enough about his work because he cares so deeply about what he creates on the page and then what he creates on a film set and then in the edit. He's an extraordinary artist. I'm just such a fan of his. But yeah, he let me read the whole thing, and I didn't quite get it at first. I think I was maybe disappointed. I probably wanted the part to be bigger. I think.
It's a safe space.
No, because I think I heard they want to meet you for the Penguin. I was like, fucking Batman baddie.
Yeah.
Danny, I grew up watching Burgess first in Dublin, Batman 66 when I was a kid. And then Danny DeVito as the Penguin meant a lot to me in Tim Burton's films. And then I read the script, and it was kind of 5 scenes, and I knew it was there as a bit of a red herring, and the dialogue, I just didn't get it. It was my limitation. And then it was when I saw Mike's design of what the character was going to look like, it just opened up a whole, you talk about psychology and the kind of internal machinations of a character and doing something that's relatable. It defies the genre then, as Lauren said, that it's in. So it just, seeing that makeup opened up the 5 scenes that I had, and I was really excited. But there was no plan to do a 8-part or anything after the fact. I just thought that it was such a waste of such extraordinary artistry to see what Mike Marino had designed and what his team of makeup artists had applied, and to only have it for 5. It's not nothing doing 5 scenes in a film such as that, of course, but I thought, God, there's so much more we could do with the character. And I remember saying it to Dylan Clark, who produced both Batman and the Penguin, I think week 2. I was like, we should do more with can we do, And I'm ambitious. Look, I got on the plane in Dublin, but I'm not always thinking about the future. I remember once I asked Nicole Kidman how Yorgos reached out to her for The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and she was like, oh, I saw his films and I sent him an email. And I was like, fuck, you can send directors emails? It's like, Jesus. Yeah. So a good idea. So I don't always be thinking of the future and planning, but this was just so clearly, it was so powerful what they had created, and I just thought there was a lot more to potentially do with it,
Now you really got me wondering what Yorgos Lanthimos' email is. I
actually have it. That's the thing. I had it before Nicole. You did? Yeah, no.
Is it
not as interesting as you would think it might be?
His name at Gmail.
Right.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was kill your son. Obscure. Spoiler alert for a movie that's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Limited choices. Yeah. Tough decisions. Sophie's choice.
And for you two, I'm sort of curious because I think it's a fair response to want to know how big your part is, or have certain expectations. What did you sort of know about this universe? Because if someone told me they were doing a Penguin series, I wouldn't think it would be this epic, stunning crime tale that with these, especially with these fantastic female characters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I think when I had read just the pilot of it when I met with Lauren, and she sort of walked me through as much as she could until I was then officially on, and then I read the first 4, and so I had a better idea of what was ahead, which was thrilling, and to have that before we started was also thrilling. And I had a sneaking suspicion just based on the scene that we did a screen test together with was when they're at lunch in the first episode and they haven't seen each other, and that was that was the first thing we shot, but also the first time I met when we on the Warner Brothers lot. And so I was like, well, I think this is something and I just loved it. And I I've been we've been talking about this show blissfully for a year, and I always get a little self-conscious when I repeat myself in things, and I feel self-conscious talking about how much I love Batman, and how I had been really wishing for a call like this.
Yeah.
And when it showed up I was like stunned and so excited. And I, even just reading that first episode, I was like, oof, I know exactly. I had a lot of questions as well, but I was like, oh, I know this, and I love this.
You said there was a screen test. Was it like a chemistry read? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because because for lack of a better word, I'm kind of rooting for these two. You do have chemistry,
Yeah.
and I think that's important. And I'm always curious if you test for that. Sometimes you just put actors together and you hope for the best.
I mean, well, we already were moving forward with Cristin. We felt really confident in that, but we wanted to see them together.
And I didn't know about that.
Oh, well.
All right.
Funny thing is, in the screen test, you
Good
didn't
to
see them
know,
together
good to
because it was
know.
just me.
I know. Well, we heard you.
Yeah.
Your back was
Yeah.
to us on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, no, Cristin said she could do yoga, so we were like,
Yeah.
let's sign her up. But it was a terrible situation for Cristin, I think, because you flew in from New York that day.
Yeah.
And then we're in this really weird conference room at Warner Brothers. Colin was, I think, very gracious, but also you were not in makeup, and that's a hard thing, I imagine, for you.
Yeah.
So, and then
I wore a balaclava at the script read
I
through.
love
know you
he
did, which is
Oh, so cool.
yeah. That was, we should talk about that. That was amazing. But Cristin came in and did two very challenging scenes, which is the lunch scene in the first episode and then the torture scene at the end of the first episode in a janky conference room and had never met any of us in person. And so that's what we like to do. We like to support actors and put them in terrible situations like that.
Wow. Didi, how about for you? How did this role come your way?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I first heard about it from Craig. Craig Zobel reached out to me. I think I had COVID. I seem to a lot of my stories about those years start with I had COVID. And I did. I had COVID. So I was like, what is he talking about? And I was in a bad mood. I couldn't the idea that he was involved in a Batman story. I was already so intrigued, like how these two things don't go together. I'm curious how that could possibly be. We had become friends because he had directed a show. He had created a show, and I had played a part on his show, $1. So that's how I knew him. But he found me and tracked me down. And sort of under the radar, and said, "There's this thing, there's this part." So that was how I first heard about it. I know. But how you guys talked anybody into letting me have the part? I've always wanted to know. What are you talking I've always been curious because
That's crazy.
it all happened without me really doing a whole hell of a lot. I was just kind of like, really? Really, this is happening? Really, this is happening? And we didn't meet until just before we were shooting. We met like for 10 minutes with these heads on, but then we finally met doing a camera test. It was how we first met, when you had your full regalia and I had my full regalia, and that was when we were like, oh my goodness! Wow. But we didn't know that magic was going to happen. So I'm not exactly sure how I got the job, and that is the honest to God truth.
Well,
All I know is
She
that
also said
he
she could
must
do
have
it.
done some magic trick, because I was kind of like at each step of finding out what this role was, and her telling me the story of it, I was like, how did I get here? I did feel like I had just walked into a magical fairyland. I didn't understand. So I don't know the answer. And maybe someday Lauren will sit me down and be like, well, this is how you got the job, because I don't know.
gonna tell
you
us
a
right
little
now.
bit right now.
Yes.
Well, no.
How did I get the job?
Finding Francis was really challenging because we knew
Good documentary, by the way, Finding Francis.
Francis.
HBO.
It's really emotional.
Three-parter, yeah.
There is one called that.
Yeah,
my
I was going to
God.
say that's
Yeah, it's a
ringing a distant
Nathan
bell.
Fielder doc.
Oh my God, it's
Really
so
called
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's the last episode of
Oh, you
Nathan
have to
for
see
You.
it.
It's incredible.
Well, it's about
Finding
finding
Francis.
Didi.
It's about finding Didi.
That's how we cast her.
Anyway.
yeah.
No, but we were.
Reveal it now. It's true. And it's always been an embarrassing question, so I've never asked anybody.
I'm glad you're asking in public.
This is public?
Like, who are the other girls?
Well, no, I mean, if Frances didn't work, if like that chemistry and that relationship didn't work,
You're going to tell us who you were going to next? No.
our show wouldn't work. No, Craig Zobel brought Dee Dee up, and he's like, she's incredible. I've worked with her, and my brother is a playwright, and so I asked him, because he's much more familiar with theater, because was very ignorant to a lot of like incredible theater actors like Dee Dee, who is just like a genius, and everybody knows how incredible she is, but I was very ignorant to it. And my brother was like, she's the most incredible actor ever. What, you should 100% do this. And I know. And it was like, honestly, like, just talking to Dee Dee the first time we talked, and the questions she asked in terms of how she got inside of that character. And then we set her up with such a challenge because she had to match Colin's dialect, which, you know, we've talked about this before, but it could really go horribly wrong. So many things on our show could, because we're trying to hit this tonal pocket, and this is a tribute to these three and Renzi and our entire cast, because it really was, I think, very challenging to make things feel very grounded and human in like a larger than life way. But Dee Dee, during that camera test, but in her first scene also with Colin, which is when in the first episode, when Oz comes in to see his ma, I mean, truly, like, the set, everyone's just blown away. Like, people were laughing because it was so funny, but also there were just these moments, everyone kept coming up to me being like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, oh my God, she's Oz's mom. And I'm like, there's no one else who ever could have been Oz's mom. And it's just, Dee Dee's been the greatest gift. I mean, truly, because their relationship is such a centerpiece of the show. And if you didn't feel that and feel the reality of that, it could have been silly. I mean, really.
I just gotta say that as you guys all know, TV sets are very hard because we work so fast, and I'm a pretty sensitive. I don't mean like sensitive, like I mean I'm sensitive. Like I'm easily allergic, easily frightened, easily, go off my feet a little bit. And this whole piece took so much courage because of the technical challenges, because it is operatic, because it took a kind of hard, strong pitching arm, and because it was so theatrical, but also because the relationships had to immediately just dive into this depth. And we did not know each other, and I did not know how I had gotten there. I knew I was really lucky to be there, and I'd done a lot of homework on it. I'd known I'd had it for maybe 6 weeks, but you arrive in that situation that first day, and I was ready for it to be really hard, and for the slightest doubt in anyone, like particularly this one's eyes, the slightest moment of fear, like, oh no, why is this one going to be the person I have to surrender to this whole time? If I had seen the slightest, and instead there was you just threw open your spiritual arms to me. You just, like, from the second we met, just like opened your arms to me in this way and I never had to go through that. I don't really deserve to be here. And you made sure that I never had that sensation, which could have turned the whole thing so quickly, so easily, because I'm not necessarily just a courageous person, but there was so much courage in the room. And I gotta say, like, the difference between, look, we could have done the exact same script, we could have hit all the marks right, everything could have gone perfectly, but without that, and I'm not sure what that ineffable thing is, I think it's called love, that you just offered me without even really knowing who I was, it makes, there's no,
But it was
there's no
thank you
thanking
for saying
you.
that. Thank you for saying that, love. And the thing was, I don't think I've ever opened my arms to somebody who's had their arms folded before me. They at least have to kind of have their arms on their side. At least. But whether you know it or not,
on their side.
and I suffer with, and I'm also blessed to share a similar strain of sensitivity to you. I think I present as a lot more sure than I seem, than I actually am internally. A lot of my life, as a dad, as an actor, as a human. But when when from the camera test on to the first day of the set, looking in your eyes was just the truth. And you were saying, Jenelle, that there was charisma between Cristin and I, or Sophia and Oz. And you were saying, I don't know what that is. And it made me think, what is charisma? And I think it's just two people sharing a strain of openness. I think that's what charisma is. I think it's that if there's two people, it's that neither of them has closed the door to the other. I think that's how charisma comes into being. And that's what I felt with you. I felt charisma. I felt that love that you're talking about. And I felt safe with you because I wasn't looking in your eyes for fear. I was hoping you wouldn't see fear in mine. On my life. And I felt so safe with you from day one. It was really one of the great joys in 25 years of being an actor, to be held by you and to be admonished by you and cursed by you and ignored by you and your twisted love. But I mean, both of these artists, I was so spoiled to go to. I wish I had more work to do with Cristin, but the work that we had, especially that brief moment in the history of our show when Sophia and Oz were kind of friends.
I know.
There was a bit of a buddy cop. There was a buddy cop moment that it was so much fun.
That was just
in the club
wrenched
that
from
day.
us. I know.
Oh my God! I was so tickled doing
Me
those bits,
too.
and it was short
I
lived.
was so bummed. We
But
were
we were-
squealing. We were making each other laugh. It was fabulous.
I mean, there's a rom-com version of this somewhere.
That's what we were. Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Come on.
Can't talk season 2 because it's limited.
But I was also like really one of my favorite parts about this show. I have so many things I love about this show, but specifically the chemistry between the characters is like you can't quite define it. It's not like, oh, that's romance. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that. Like theirs has a tinge of something that's like different for a mother and son.
What do you mean?
We have a tinge of something where you're like, are you enemies? Are you kindred spirits? Are you like, what is this? Are you family? Are you not? Yeah. Certainly he has that with Renzi as well. Like that, I think that's one of the most beautiful magic tricks of our show is that like you can't define any two of them, and they're all like reaching out for connection and just fucking it up.
I'm curious as actors if you ever encounter that where someone's arms aren't wide open, or you are fearful, or you're in a situation that maybe isn't ideal. Kind of how you push through that.
Then you get to maybe not lean in as much as you like to lean in.
Yeah.
I like to lean in, and I like to have people lean into me, and I love to talk about stuff. But I also acknowledge the importance of honoring each individual's process, whatever it is. I've worked with actors that stay in character, actors that are joking, as they say, roll sound, and then they're boom and right on point.
Yeah.
So, but you just, I mean, I don't think it's a weak thing to take cues from others and honor them.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't know, sometimes I try to like take the standpoint of like, then this is what this is supposed to be and let this color in. Like if this person if there's something there that's not open to you, like as opposed to, I think I used to be really like intimidated by that before, and now I'm sort of like, all right, well, we'll play with this, I guess.
You mentioned, doing this, I guess, screen test with Deidre, and you weren't in the full makeup. And
was with Deidre.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
He was. I
Sorry,
wouldn't
sorry.
have been able to handle it if he wasn't. Look at him.
Yeah, seriously.
No, it really helped. Colin, who? I just didn't have to deal with all that.
Well, okay. I am sort of curious, though, because, there are some actors who stay in character, and I would think putting on that makeup and wearing those outfits and doing the walk, these are all things that, really lock the character in place. Would you stay in character, and is it hard to
I
play
can't remember fully. Can I ask the two? Was I 50-50 kind of?
I would say, well, with me, I feel like we were shooting the shit constantly in between.
Yeah.
And then could like lock in.
Yeah.
And it was like us talking
So it
about.
was mostly like this?
Mostly like that.
Wow, with
Yeah.
you, wow.
Yeah.
So I think with Renzi maybe it was a little more
Right.
Oz than it was with you.
Yeah.
I just know there was certain times it felt really weird to hear the acoustics of
Yeah.
my voice and feel the weight of
Yeah.
what had become very familiar as Oz. There was times it just felt wrong. I certainly in between takes or talking to, I think maybe the directors got more of Oz because they'd be cut and then we'd be having a little chat, but I wasn't in it all the time at all, obviously. Mom? Ma?
I know, it's fun. I don't remember there being like oh, now we're not, now we are.
Yeah.
It's funny. It was like probably partly because we were living in such terror about our dialect that, there was a way that just, let me just keep talking like that so I don't feel like a total jerk when it's action. So there was a way that playing inside the dialect kind of just became, it was just more easier to, rather than step out, step in. But it wasn't like we were all methody and being our characters, but I don't remember us feeling like we were doing these big leaps in and out.
There was a couple of times I remember once talking to one of our directors after a take, and we were having a discussion about a certain moment, and the take was a dark scene, and I remember seeing the look on one of our directors' faces, and it was a little bit like they were a little bit shocked, and I realised, oh fuck, I think I'm talking to her with the energy of yeah, just for a second, because I was like, what do you know, and I went into the whole thing, and for a second I just caught it, and I was like, no, sorry, and then brought it back. So just that kind. Yeah. Not like I was losing my, but as we were saying the other day, you do this shit for 40. If you're lucky enough and you do it for 14 or 15 hours a day, it becomes a greater reality than the hotel room you go home to rest out at night. You know. It really does. For a while, you convince yourself, it's delusional as it is, it becomes a greater reality than your two kids who are 3,000 miles away that you would do anything for and walk from this job in the middle of the third, episode and say goodbye to all of this shit for them, and you love them that much. This becomes more of a reality. They're 3,000 miles away. For those moments, you convince yourself,
Is it ever handy, though, to tap into that guy if you need him? Because I could use that guy sometimes.
Yeah, me too. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
Useless without you and your WGA folk.
Hey, thanks.
Well, again, I want to congratulate you on a fantastic show. I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm a little sad because I feel like this means it's over.
This is it. This is the last one, isn't it?
It is the last Q&A.
We're going to have a good night at the Emmys. We're going to have a laugh.
Yeah. But we've done this for like a year now.
Yeah, enough.
Enough.
Yeah.
Let the youngsters come up.
You're allowed to drop the mic, quite literally.
Yeah.
Aww.
Couldn't go
Thank
the
you
full.
for being a great audience.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.